I have worked emergency medicine for 19 years, and I have reached the age where I believe I can read a nurse in the first 45 minutes of a shift, whether they've got the instincts or they don't, whether they hold under pressure or whether they fold. I am not always right, but I am right often enough that I stopped apologizing for the assessment. I was wrong about specialist nurse Dana Elwick, not about her competence. That was apparent inside a week. I was wrong about what I was looking at when I looked at her. She had been with us for 5 months when it happened. Contract placement. We were short on experienced ER staff the agency sent her. She was available. Quiet. Mid-20s. She wore black scrubs and kept her hair pulled back, and she did her work without decoration and without commentary, which I found efficient and didn't read particularly deeply. She was good at her job in the specific way that distinguishes trained from talented. She knew the work. She was fast with a line, accurate on assessment, composed in the trauma bay in a way that some nurses take years to develop, and some never do. She had a quality I noticed but didn't remark on. When things accelerated, she got quieter rather than louder. I noted this. I did not think about why. In the 5th month, she handled a difficult intubation on a combative patient that 2 attendings had already declined to attempt, and she got it in 2 tries without ceremony and handed the laryngoscope back and went to her next patient. One of the residents said to me afterward, in a low voice that indicated he thought he was observing something interesting, "Where'd she come from?" I said, "Agency placement," which was the sum total of what I knew. On the 11th of March, 3 SUVs parked in front of our ER entrance at 1427. This is not in itself unusual. We get police vehicles, family vehicles, transport vehicles at the entrance all the time. What was unusual was the men who got out. 8 of them, 8 soldiers in Army combat uniform with the kind of posture you do not get from reserve service, accompanying a 9th man on a stretcher who had apparently taken a fragment wound to the leg during a training exercise at the base 40 miles north. They came through the doors in the organized way of people who move as a unit by habit, 2 at the head of the stretcher, 2 at the sides, the others flanking with the awareness of men who assess rooms automatically when they enter them. I was at the station. I looked up. Nurse Elwick, who had been pulling a chart, looked up too. The man at the head of the stretcher, a sergeant first class, according to his rank patch, with the kind of face that looks like it was assembled specifically to be hard to read, stopped. He stopped walking. The 2 men at his side stopped because he stopped, and then the rest of them stopped because those men stopped. The ward did not notice this at first. The ward was a busy Tuesday afternoon R ward with 4 other patients in transit and 2 attendings on the mute floor and half a dozen nurses and techs doing the work that keeps a trauma bay running. Then it got quiet. Not all at once. A wave of quiet, starting from the entrance. The sergeant was looking at Dana Elwick. Turned from the station. She was holding the chart she had pulled. She looked at him the way she looked at everything. Level, still. The particular quiet that I had taken for professional composure and had apparently been underestimating. He said, "Macon." She said, "Surgeon." He said, "We didn't know where you went." She said, "Agency placement." I move around. There was a pause of approximately 5 seconds, which in a working ER is a long time. He said to the men behind him, a single word I did not catch. They came to attention, all 8 of them. Right there in my ER, with the gurney between them and the doors and the resident behind me, and 2 charge nurses in the trauma bay, watching, all. 8 soldiers came to full attention and saluted Dana Elwick. I learned the rest of it from the sergeant, whose name was Harker, while his man's wound was being assessed in Bay 3. He told me in the efficient, factual way of a man recounting a situation report. They had been pinned on a rooftop in Kandahar province in 2019. 11 men, incoming from 3 directions. A casualty in the first 4 minutes, then 2 more, then a dust-off request that was not going to be filled in time. Their medic was one of the 3 casualties. Dana Elwick had been the flight medic on the 2nd bird to reach the position. She had landed on the rooftop under fire, triaged 3 critical casualties in under 8 minutes, kept 2 of them alive until a second extraction could be organized, and then, according to Sergeant Harker, delivered with the matter-of-fact precision of a man describing a factual event. She had gone back for the man they'd left on the far side of the roof because he was too unstable to move the first time. He said, "We lost him anyway," but she went back. She had gone back under fire for a man they had all agreed was too critical to move, because she had looked at the situation and concluded that leaving him, there was not something she was prepared to do. 14 men made it off that rooftop, not 11. The other three, two men she stabilized before the dust-off, one man she carried off the far side of the roof herself, made it because she had been on that bird. He said, "She got a commendation. She doesn't wear it. We've been trying to find her for 2 years." I went back to the station and I sat there for a while. The ER returned to its Tuesday afternoon work in the way of places that keep moving because they have to. Dana Elwick went back to her charts. She did not appear particularly altered by the preceding 10 minutes. I said, when she passed the station, "Kandahar?" She said, "Yes." I said, "You could have told us." She said, "You didn't ask about it. You needed a nurse who could work. That's what I came to do." She went to her next patient. I sat at the station for another few minutes, thinking about the 45-minute assessment I'd made 5 months earlier, and about how long I had been looking at 14 men's worth of valor, and reading it as good at her job in the specific way that distinguishes trained from talented. She was trained. She was also something I had not had the correct category for. I have thought about that a lot since March, about the categories, and what they miss, and what walks past us in black scrubs carrying a chart while we're thinking about something else entirely. The sergeant had known what he was looking at in 5 seconds. It took me 5 months. He had the better eye.